to be here, and I'm looking forward to speak to this important audience. I've not very often listened to such an enlightening panel, and a lot of things I want to talk about you covered already, so maybe we should have dinner immediately. Bob, you were concerned that farming would not be a focus of this meeting, and we will change that now. I want to talk to you a little bit about farming, and I want to talk to you a little bit about innovation in our industry, in our farming sector. I start with a little commercial. AGCO is a Fortune 300 farm equipment manufacturer listed at the New York Stock Exchange. We do about 10 billion of sales. This reflects already a downturn in our industry, so our record year was 2013, so we had many record years in a row. Timing is bad, so I should have come 1 year earlier and talked about better numbers. We are very global, so only 25% of our business we do here in the US, and we are present in 150 countries of the world. In our industry, in the farm equipment industry, we talk about being a full liner. A full liner is somebody who manufactures all farm equipment a farmer needs through the whole process. So from seeding and tillage to harvesting and to storage. So we are a true full liner. We are completely dedicated to farming only. We do not do lawn mowers or kind of little RTVs and things like that. We only do farm equipment, no construction equipment. So we really believe in our business. You could say it's a little boring because some of our branches of our brands do that already for 160 years, but we still love it. We have some leading brands. We are a multi-brand company. Some of you know Massey Ferguson. That's our Volkswagen, if you like the comparison with the automotive industry. We also have a Bentley, which is Fendt, a German brand, and something we didn't cover here in the discussion, which is the point of view of German engineers. German engineers have a tendency to know much better what customers need, and they want to change the customer's approach and the customer's way how they do business. So that's what we learn every day from our German engineers. We have a Nordic brand, which is called Valtra. It's the former Volvo truck or Volvo car farm equipment division, tractor division. And we bought in 2002 the Caterpillar farm equipment division and keep that brand Challenger as the exclusive brand for the Caterpillar distribution. Being in many countries of the world, including also Africa and emerging markets, we figured out that grain storage is a huge problem. Grain storage, logistics, cleaning, and drying. And we invested in this sector through a brand called GSI because 50% of the harvest in broad numbers is lost after harvest. Not here in the US, but in the rest of the world, in Russia, in certain South American countries, in India and China. So, and this is an easy investment. If a farmer decides to invest in modern storage, the return on invest comes in within a year. As I said, we are in all markets of the world. We are in 140 countries, and we are certainly also in emerging countries. Bob mentioned that already, so this is the proof that also Monsanto sometimes can be right. That was a joke. So here you can see where we are today, and by 2050, the estimates vary a little bit, and it depends a little bit on what people will eat in the future, but we need to produce around twice as much food as we do today. So this is, so to say, our challenge. So our target is somewhat given to us from the very productive world population. While we are speaking here, every minute we add 156 people net to the world population. 1800 we were 1 billion people, 1 billion only. That was around when America started to get into the picture. 1900 we were 2, 2005, and now we are 7.5 about. So we will be at 10 soon. We have an additional driving factor for the farming sector, which is changing diets. So in countries like India and China, people start to eat more protein, more meat. And depending on what kind of meat you eat, if you eat chicken, you have to put in 5 times the carbs if you would only eat rice and vegetables. If you eat pig, it's about 7, 8, 9 times, and the less efficient is beef, it's 10 to 12 times. So the more meat people eat, the more carbs we need to produce. We also have the renewable fuels, which are a factor. You might think with all the new discoveries in shelf oil and things like that, this is not needed anymore. But if you think about the future, and if you want to save some crude oil also for future generations, renewable fuel certainly matters. In Brazil, already today, 90% of the new cars sold are so-called flexi cars. They work or drive with either ethanol made out of sugarcane or regular fuel or any blend. So you basically put in what is cheap and what is available. So this is basically our job description. Now the important question is, do we think we have the capability to do it? And here you can see what farmers did in the past, only between 1950 and 2020. The most or the biggest productivity increase we saw coming from 2 factors around the 1900s. One was fertilizers and second was mechanization. So, and here you can see that in 1950, one farmer did feed 16 people. In 2010, one farmer feeds 155 people. I do think that this is a very impressive proof of the productivity improvements farming generated. And if you compare that with the automotive industry or other traditional industries, you will nowhere see similar productivity improvements. And this is done by people who run their businesses not really in a very efficient way, because they don't collect data always as they should. They don't improve their processes. And my thesis is that in the future, farmers will run their farms more than factories. Today, they run their farms more than little craft shops. And like farming is an art, so to say. So, the technology must now support this development. And I want to talk a little bit about precision farming. The panel touched upon this already. This is about how can IT, how can intelligence, how can software help to improve productivity on farms. Here you can see how and what the payback is. So, and I will describe precision farming a little bit more in detail in a second. Here you can see that on a small farm of 800 acres, that's small in the US, it would be big in Switzerland or Austria. The annual benefit is $11,000. And on a large farm, it's $36,000. So what does precision farming mean? And here I want to share with you certain areas precision farming covers. We heard about Monsanto's investment in weather intelligent, I would almost call it. Telematics come in, GPS, harvesting, soil mapping. We want to, of course, analyze what's going on, so we are not satisfied with the idea that we really want to know why, because that is a little different from the previous panel, because by knowing why, you can think about how to change the process. And we want to offer prescription maps, so to say, to the farmer. I will talk about it a little bit more in detail, how that works. And I want to start basically somewhat in the right-hand corner in harvesting. So what most of farmers already do today is called yield mapping. So they want to understand where do they harvest what, how much do they harvest, what is the quality, what is the moisture content, how is the yield. And from there, they try to understand, they try to backwards engineer the process. And now you basically are in planning. So you think about what can I do in order to improve my process in such a way that I can expect better harvest, better yields next year. So the cycles in farming can be very short. In Nordic countries, you always talk about a year. When you go to South America and partially also here in the US, you can talk about 2 or 3 harvests. So that makes, of course, the learning curve and the learning process much faster. The field preparation and planting is an area where it's very important. We talked about automation. So we want to be fast in planting. We want to really meet the right window of time when to plant. Because if we planted too early and cold weather came in, the seed would be spoiled. If we plant too late, the crops would never make it. So that's actually Mother Nature is a variable factor which always makes our life a little bit more interested. So, and from there on, we already start to document what we are doing. And then in the growing season, we basically have 2 things, or 1 thing basically, which we have to focus on, which is basically the control and then also spraying the right pesticides in the right amount. So our idea about farming is not only to produce more, but we want to produce more quality food, and we want to produce more quality food by using less natural resources. So we want to be aware of the needs of this growing population in environmental protection of water and air.